I wanted to document some more possible childhood roots of my current and probably future isolation. I think one major factor in my childhood was that I spent too much time in isolation, even if I wasn't exactly alone. I never really fit in very well anywhere. At school, obviously, you know, being Pentecostal, United Pentecostal, I was different from everybody at school. It was a little better when I got to high school and there were other kids from my church there, so I wasn't the only one. But grade school, junior high, I was the only one. So obviously, I mean, I had a few friends in school, so I wasn't completely isolated. And some of them were, you know, fairly good friends, good people, but there was a huge part of my life that I couldn't even talk to them about because of the religion, you know, so there was always a barrier there. And so then, you know, you would think, well, maybe at church I had friends that I was really close to that I could really relate to. And I'm going to say I had maybe one or two friends who, at some point, who understood me a bit. But other than that, you know, they didn't understand me either, because at least in my church, intellectualism wasn't valued at all. I mean, it didn't further your cause of bringing people to God, you know. It was just a worldly thing, I guess they would have called it, somewhat. It just wasn't of concern to them, you know. Your goal in a Pentecostal church, especially growing up in a Pentecostal church, your goal is to get married, get a good job, have lots of kids that'll grow up to be more Pentecostals, you know. So, but I mean, you can't help what IQ that you're born with. And, you know, I loved to learn. I loved to excel academically. There was, I mean, apparently I'm highly competitive. I got a rush, a thrill, you know, adrenaline out of entering competitions and winning them. I mean, there are students out there who, especially these days, who do better than what I did. But trying to give you a little kind of a different perspective on just how much I excelled academically. Well, I graduated second in my class out of 120 people, I guess. My GPA was 3.97. You know, none of that is anything spectacular at all. But I also scored a 1480, I think, on the SAT, and actually won a National Merit Scholarship. And, you know, fewer than 1% of high school students get those. So I got that. Plus, I already had everything paid for at Western because I was awarded a presidential scholarship, and they gave out 10 a year at the time. It's 12 now. To, you know, a few thousand freshmen every year. So, and, you know, other things like when I was in the second grade and I was at a school at the time that had 1st through 8th grade, I came in second in the school spelling bee. You know, everybody made a huge deal about that. And my freshman year in high school, we had like a regional math competition up at Western, and I was in the algebra category, and I won first place out of, I don't know, 350, 400 students. And I wasn't surprised in the slightest because I had finished the algebra book. I was the only person in my class who did. And oh, God, super. So see, you know, super nerdy on top of everything else. So, and, yeah, I digressed quite a bit there. Sorry about that. So my point was, the kids I went to church with, there was a barrier between us too, because they thought I was, you know, strange for doing so well in school and that it mattered to me. And plus, even with them, I mean, I was socially awkward. I think, you know, in one of the other videos I talked about all the time that I spent hanging out with my cousin. But other than family, I guess, and, you know, you're going to be different around your family. I didn't get enough socialization with other kids my age who weren't family members. And I mean, we never had anyone over to the house, so I never. And I mean, once I was in high school and could drive myself, so like junior year, I was able to actually go see some of my church friends and hang out with them sometimes. But still, I just, you know, socially awkward, not enough socialization, and I was weird to everyone, basically. You know, I was somewhat ostracized, you know, sometimes more than others. I mean, sometimes at school were worse than others. Sometimes at church were worse than others. Sometimes, you know, weren't too bad. I mean, when I had the couple of boyfriends that I had in high school, you know, that was good. But yeah, so I'll give you one example from high school that just stuck in my brain. I've forgotten so much stuff, but this one is a prime example of what school could be like for me. My freshman year, in my algebra class, it was getting close to time for homecoming, and my algebra class was, we had lunch during it, so I don't remember if it was the beginning or the middle, but anyway, there were usually a few of us stragglers, after most everybody had gone out the door to go to the cafeteria, and I was one of those stragglers one day, and there were these, like, 4 guys kind of hanging out and kind of talking about something, and then one of them came over to me and said, hey, Dale wants you to go to homecoming with him. And I looked over there, and Dale was like trying to fight the other couple of guys. Apparently he had drawn the short straw, so it was his name that they used when they came over to me. And I mean, yeah, I was naive in a lot of ways and obtuse a lot of times, but I knew that it was a joke on me, So I was just like, no, I don't want to. And oh, that really made the joke even bigger, because he had been turned down by this girl, the nerdiest girl in the school. So what did that make him, And so really the joke wasn't on me. I was just a way to, the whole thing was a way to pull a prank on him. That's what you do when you prank somebody. That's something you can do when you prank somebody, is go tell the weirdest girl in the school that you want to go on a date with her. So, good times, good times.